Shalom, 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 shalom. First and foremost, giving infinite praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem El-Shah, Ba'ashem B'Chakwadash, giving double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone, and shalom and salutation to all you sincere Akim across the four winds, pushing his truth with sincerity of heart. I'm your fellow servant, Kasama Gun from a DC camp, coming at you through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem El-Shah, Ba'ashem B'Chakwadash, to feed the elect. This is going to be, another edition of the Watchtower. Really just want to deal with some things that, the hopeful elect, we definitely got to always put in mind and into consideration because, prophecies is happening. There's a lot more souls that are being awakened. You see it all the time, especially now. Like a lot of brothers are waking up to this truth. Some of them are part of the elect, some of them are not. It is what it is. It's part of the process. But we also have to understand, what we are part of. The thing is that what we are part of, according to the virgin daughter of Babylon, aka the United States of America, us believing, right? When I say us so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, us believing that we're Israelites, is something that could potentially come with a price. I mean, it will come with a price as far as like the losses that you're going to encounter in this truth, in this journey. But also we have to understand that we actually standing against a power. We standing against Edom, Esau, his authority, his government, and also we basically proclaiming that we're going to take over and we're going to be the rulers of the next world. Now, these are not threats, these are not light threats when you're talking about a nation of people at the very top controlling things for 800 years. And, especially the ones of them who know who we are, it's not something that they'll take lightly. So the reason why we've been able to push this word without, the consequences, because everything in life does have consequences. The reason why we've been able to do this all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem El-Shah, because it was always meant to be a time of persecution, a time of the word being pushed, individual trials and tribulations. But then there's always towards the end when things start to really ramp up and things start to really be deadly serious. That's when you get that high level, high pressure persecution, which a lot of people who think that they believe, who think that they're a part of, they know what they're a part of. They never fully think about, what they're involved in and what that means. And I want to get into this topic of the raids. We coming to a point now with the extremism and domestic extremism that's going on. With, different political parties. We know about the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL having us as Hebrew Israelites as one of their main targets. But I'm getting news. You're not going to see this mainstream, but I've got news, underground news that there's raids that are happening. You just don't hear about it. Now, I don't believe they started moving on us, but you have to be prepared. Just in case you end up being one of the houses or apartment that get raided and you get held and for questioning and being labeled domestic terrorist, because this is important. You have to know what you're a part of, and you have to know the consequences of being in this truth. Now, once you know it and you accept it, then you good. It's like, all right, cool. You ready for whatever's gonna happen, and you've already made up your mind that you going all the way, all right? And that's the only way you can finish your mission, because it is a mission and we are at war, all right? Though a spiritual war at first, this thing is going to get raw and rugged and rough sooner than a lot of us expect, to be honest. Now, this is a U.S. government accountability office website. This was posted on March 2nd, 2023. And by the way, man, listen, as men of the Lord, man, we have to talk about everything, man. We can't We could talk about the kingdom of heaven and how we're going to receive the kingdom, which is great, but, you know, we wouldn't be doing the followers service. We would be doing the followers a disservice, not preparing them mentally, psychologically, right? Which that's what it means, mentally and spiritually, for the things that's going to happen before we get into the kingdom. It's going to get worse before it gets good. It's going to get really atrocious out here before it gets good. And persecution will be at the highest level that it's ever been in the history of the world, man. All right. So it says this is the rising threat of domestic terrorism in the U.S. and federal efforts to combat it. All right. And again, this was posted on March 2nd, 2023. And it says domestic terrorism is on the rise. And mind you, we just preaching the Bible. We just preaching the Bible, proclaiming our nationality, the name of the Heavenly Father, which is Yahweh, his son's name, which is Yahweh Shai, just giving knowledge to our people, right? The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's all we doing. But the thing is that Esau is no fool. Esau is no fool. At the very top in a governmental level, they have files and files upon files, and they know what was saying. And the ramification, if what was saying happens to be true, they know what's going to happen to their people, to their nation, and to the rest of the nations. All right. So it's not a game that we're playing. All right. This is going to be deadly serious. All right. Domestic terrorism is on the rise. Several attacks have been widely reported in the last few years. For example, in May 2022, a racially motivated individual shot and killed 10 people in Buffalo, New York. All right. It says a 2018 attack on a Pittsburgh synagogue left 11 people dead. All but 8 states across the United States experienced at least one incident of domestic terrorism between 2010 and 2021. And over the last 10 years, domestic terrorism related investigations have grown by 357%. Wow. It says today's Watch blog post looks at our new report on the rising threat of domestic terrorism and federal efforts to combat it. All right. So it says, what do we know about domestic terrorism incidents? It says domestic terrorism is generally defined by law as involving criminal acts dangerous to human life on U.S. soil that appear intended to coerce a civilian population or influence or affect the conduct of government. Now, we always state, when we out there in the highways and the edges, that, what we're doing is spiritual. We're not carrying guns. We're not calling for, our people to get armed and all that craziness. Not what we preach is that we are the children of Israel, whether you like it or not. That's who we are. We've awakened to our inheritance, and we preach the return of our Lord and Savior. All right, whom the world has ignorantly named or called Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai. So that's what we preach, and we wait for him to come and deliver us. Now, again, when we say that, yeah, we know it's spiritual, and Esau knows, especially when it comes to the real men of the Lord, that we're not gonna, this is not no armed revolution of any kind, but Esau is no fool. He understands it. He understands what we're saying. What we're saying is that although we, the men of the Lord, the Israelites in captivity, in slavery, although we don't have the power to rise up against our enemy, he knows that what we're saying is that there's a greater power that that's gonna basically come down and crush him, and that's not a threat that he takes lightly, especially for the higher ups, the Rothschilds and the Rockefeller, who definitely understand the concept and understand that the Bible does speak about the return of the Lord. So this is and when they establish that in their mind that this is going to be a takeover, a biblical takeover, I've always stated, listen, nobody wants to be a slave. It's the worst thing that could happen to a nation of people. Esau is not going to go down without a fight. He knows what slavery does to people, as he's enslaved us for 500 years. So he doesn't want that to happen to his people. So he's not going to go down without a fight. And if we proclaim to be the man of the Lord, he's going to have to put pressure on us. And persecution throughout times, persecution have always been the final move. When you're talking about spiritual revolution, it'll be any kind of revolution, even if it's spiritual. So it says there were 231 incidents, meaning attacks or plots that met the definition of domestic terrorism between 2010 and 2021. It says, according to DHS, they occurred across the United States, but the greatest number of incidents occurred in states with major metropolitan areas such as California, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, New York City, and of course our own Washington, D.C. All right. And look at these numbers. It says, and they say why are these attacks happening? So let's skip. It says let's read these last two paragraphs, and it says anti-government and anti-authority motivated violent extremism was the second largest category of incidents. That's the reason why we always say, man, as Hebrew Israelites, man, you shouldn't be out there with guns. I mean, I know you have states that do have open carry, but like, man, this is a spiritual movement, a spiritual awakening. This is not a call to arm, of some type of armed revolution, bro. Although ultimately it wouldn't even matter because Esau is still gonna establish and do raids and send SWAT teams, to go out and specifically target certain individuals, regardless if they believe that you're spiritual or not. Esau doesn't care. He just understands that this is war, and at the end of the day, he doesn't want to lose. But we're not gonna fucking help him by being out there out there in the highways and the edges and like with guns, trying to act as if that's gonna do anything to a man who has the ability, because of the nukes and the high power weapons, he has the ability to just wipe out neighborhoods, man. Like, come on, bro. We have no chance of winning any type of physical war against Edom Esau. Because if we could, we would have done it. We've been in the cage for 500 years and some change, because we know what's up. Israelites know what's up, man. When it comes down to actually rising up against Esau, Edom by ourselves, man, deep internally, Jake know what's up. We would get annihilated, man. Come on, man. So it says there were also domestic terrorism incidents linked to animal rights extremists and abortion-related violent extremists. Among other motivations, animal rights-related incidents did not result in any deaths during this time period. Incidents related to abortion-related violent extremists led to 3 deaths. So, I mean, they got the whole pie chart and everything. I'm not going too deep into that, all right? But it's a new article, all right? Listen, the enemy is not sleeping, bro. Like, they got files, man. They got files upon files. When it comes to us, they watch our videos, they record what we're saying. And like I said, when if you happen to be one of the brothers that when they start to really, pinpoint and target us and persecute us, they're going to be playing. Listen, they're going to be playing fouls, man. Why do you think you got Vocab Malone? Vocab Malone is, been known for the ones of us who always are into conspiracy theories and all that, get into some really deep, underground type information, man. Like, I remember when I first seen Vocab, I was like, man, that's Southern Poverty Law Center, man. But that's why I was like, man, I'll never go back and forth with that dude, because he's not trying to understand nothing, bro. Like, he's just trying to collect information and data for when we get persecuted, raided, SWAT team, and then, you get brought up to court and you getting all kinds of crazy ass charges being played, videotapes of you saying things. And, that's why he's there. Now, this is one article as well. You should check this out. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but this is also January 6th, 2023. It says SWAT teams attack Atlanta, force encampments, activists charged with terrorism, and movement to stop Cop City police training facility. Now, you're not going to see this in the news. So, these are things that happen. All right. And this dated January 6th, 2023. So don't sit there and expect to get Joe Biden. Don't expect Joe Biden to get on the podium, and talk about, hey, man, from now on, we're going to start doing raids and SWAT teams. We're going to SWAT and raid Hebrew Israelites, all so-called extremists. Nah, man, that's just not how it goes. You do these things under the cover. You don't let society know that it's taking place, because then, certain laws would be put in question. So, that's when your government becomes tyrannical. That's usually how it go. So we have to understand, man, this is a part of it. So when you join a camp or you just woke up to this gospel, man, like, understand, like, understand the good, but be aware of the bad, because you're going to have to deal with the bad before you deal with the good. So this is John. Let's go to the scriptures. This is John chapter 15, verse 20. It says, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, Yahushua speaking, if they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. So it's basically Yahushua saying, listen, I didn't do anything but just, preach and minister unto the hopeful elect, make sure, teach the disciples, and teach the kingdom of heaven, but what happened? He got persecuted, and then he got murdered. Like I said, he was hung on the cross. That was murder, because he didn't break any Roman law, and certainly he didn't break any Hebrew Israelite law. All right, so the fact that he was put to death was murder, open murder, after being persecuted. So these things are going to happen. Some of us are going to have to lay down our lives. I mean, this is how serious this thing is. And if you're not preparing yourself and praying to the Lord to give you that resolve, the minute you get SWAT team, like, what you going to do? Now you're going to start tripping. You're going to lose your faith. You're going to feel like the Lord is abandoning you. Why? Because you wasn't taught that persecution was a part of this gospel. You have to be able to, get the whole gospel, not just the part that you like to hear. All right. Verse 21, it says, but all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. All right. So that's what it is. It's all going to happen because you profess that you believe in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You believe in Yahushua. Well, if you believe in Yahushua and you preach in Yahushua, every time you preach in Yahushua, you preach in the return of Yahushua. Yahushua can't rule. He cannot rule alongside Edomites. One must be taken down for the other one to be established. So therefore, you saying basically that Esau has to come down, basically. And that's according to the scriptures. Well, Esau, Edom, they going to want to have a say-so about that. And that's where you're going to get the persecution, that's spoken of in the scriptures. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12. It says, yea, and all that will live godly in Hamashiach Yahushua shall suffer persecutions. All right. Of course, there's levels of persecutions, but I'm focusing on when things are going to get raw and rugged and uncut. And, you might listen. There's one thing to get arrested. Almost all of us have, in this truth, have been somewhat arrested, one way or another. But it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different deal, man. When you getting swatted like that, man, and you getting swatted like that, and then you start looking at the trumped up charges, man, and then and then the bail hearing, the amount of bail they put on your tab, they basically saying you ain't going no goddamn where. So, that's when you're really gonna realize that, man, this is the magnitude of what I'm involved with. This is what men of the Lord have gone through before. All right. But if that's something you don't want to think about, you know, and you want to be oblivious to that, well, you're doing that at your own peril, because you're going to be mentally and spiritually challenged. The kingdom of heaven is not going to be an easy thing to acquire. This is Acts chapter 16 and 35. Let's go on get an example of Paul himself, the man himself. Paul, he got the treatment. He had to face the music. This is Acts chapter 16, verse 35. It says, "And when it was day, the magistrates sent the sergeants, saying, 'Let those men go.' And the keeper of the prison told this saying to Paul." This is after Paul, was already arrested, unlawfully arrested. Let me add, as he's going to state, it says, "The magistrates have sent to let you go now. Therefore, depart and go in peace." Right. So they arrested Paul, but then when they found out that Paul was a Roman citizen and he hadn't broken any Roman law, they were like, "Oh shit, we arrested him unlawfully." Right. It says, verse 37. It says, "But Paul said unto them, they have beaten us openly uncondemned." So at the end of the day, it's not about you being a citizen of America, or you breaking the laws or not breaking the laws. When you preach Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, man, you become a threat to the whole Edomite nation and all the rest of the nations. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to start to want to do things to us that, they're not going to care about their own laws to a great extent. It says, let me read it again. Acts 16 and 37. It says, "But Paul said unto them, they have beaten us openly, uncondemned, being Romans," meaning I'm a Roman citizen, "and they did things to me that they shouldn't have, and have cast us into prison. And now they do thrust us out privily. Nay, verily, but let them come themselves and fetch us out." So now Paul was bossing up a little bit, because he had the law on his side, and he also understood the time and the season and time, because when you go into the latter chapters, when he was in court, it was a different spirit, because Paul knew his ministry was coming to an end. It wasn't gonna be no freedom after that. He got put on house arrest, and after that, man, it was pretty much over with. But that was an example right there, man. So don't sit there. "Well, I'm an American citizen, man. They ain't never," man, please. This ain't no damn game, man. This is a transfer of power. And you speak spiritually about a man going down carnally. He's gonna have a problem with that. And Esau's gonna have a big problem with that. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We got to do what we got to do. We got to continue to preach the word, but we have to know that these some of the things that, are going to happen. This is Revelation 2 and 10. It says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison." Right. Not everybody's going to end up in a concentration camps. Not every brother's going to get swatted, but some will. Not every brother's going to get raided, but some will. All right. We don't know exactly who it's going to be, but you have to have a mindset like, hey, man, it could happen at any time, any place. It doesn't mean the Lord has forgotten you or anything like that. It's just, hey, man, you were chosen because most likely you can overcome what's getting ready to happen to you, the position that you need to be put on, you need to be put in. Because all trials and tribulations at the end of the day, I'm not putting this video to say Esau has power. This is all the work of the Lord. It's to try our hearts. All right. So we can find out how much faith we have in Yahweh Shemel Shah. Because the Lord already knows who's faithful and who ain't. We're the ones who's still trying to find out how much faith we have in Yahweh Shemel Shah. That's why we have to be put through these intense situations. And persecution will always does it. Why? Because persecution is pressure. And through pressure, you really find out who you are, man. You don't know who you are until you're in a moment of pressure. This Revelation 2 and 10, it says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." All right. So as the days approach, you know, to the climax of our spiritual clash between Esau and Jacob, these scriptures become even heavier, man. Because I know you're getting a lot of information about people getting raided. Like people are getting SWAT teams and raided right now. Now they haven't moved on us yet, but they're moving on the so-called conservative, so-called conservative Republican extremists. Like they're raiding they're raiding some of their politicians. Your former president got raided. They raided the former president, bro. It's just our turn is coming. Just prepare. You know what I'm saying? Just prepare, man. That's all it's about. Just prepare. Lamentation chapter 5 verse 5, it says, our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. I mean, that's a state of mind of an Israelite in America. In Babylon, in particular, our necks are always under persecution, but the level of persecution we getting ready to witness is going to be very hard and very stressful. But there is always a good news, right? And this is the good news. Baruch 4:25, it says, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from the Most High. So the wrath is coming from the Most High. It's not Esau. Esau doesn't have that power. He's only doing what he's allowed to do. All right. It says, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from the Most High. For thine enemy has persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shall tread upon his neck. Right. So he's treading upon our neck right now, but the vote is everything gonna be flipped. All right. Everything is gonna be flipped. My delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto the Most High, for you shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. All right. So we're going to be remembered the things that brought the sign and crying. The heavenly Yahweh by Shema Shah hears it. All right. Verse 28, for as it was your mind to go astray from the Most High, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. All right. So, yes, I mean, that's what we're doing. I'm going to close out with this. Of course, Romans chapter 8, verse 35. It says, who shall separate us from the love of Mashiach Yahushua? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? All right. It says, as it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. Yeah, the reason why we going through all these trials and tribulations is so that when all hell breaks loose, and for the ones of us that do have to get cast into prisons, swatted and raided, by the time it happens, man, our mindset is going to be on like, yeah, I was waiting for it. I've been waiting for this shit anyways. And that's a different mindset to go into than be like, oh, shit, I didn't know this was going to happen. Yeah, because then now the flesh going to take over, man, and you're going to fold like a lawn chair, man. Nah, you can't be in that mindset. Verse 36, it says, as it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. Right. So, yeah, it's not about fear. No, I don't. Me personally, I don't fear being raided. I've always expected that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a night owl anyways, man. So these cats, they're most likely. Well, but then again, they usually do their raids like around 3 or 4 in the morning. Even I usually don't stay up there with that. So if you know the old saying, I remember Pastor Gabar said, man, they gonna get in there and catch some of y'all ninjas in your boxes playing Madden. You know what I'm saying? But it'd be like, hey, man, I'm not trying to act super tough or super courageous, but it's just when I'm not oblivious of what I'm a part of, but at the end of the day, man, through Yahweh Shah, we conquer all of these thoughts, and we embrace it, man, to be counted worthy, man. You being chased around by your enemy, man, in the night, in the dark. I mean, hey, that means your enemy has respect for you, man. He fears you. He fears the power that deals with you, man. So, hey, you got to embrace that. Romans 8 in 38, it says, "For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, no powers," right? No powers, governments, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of Hamashiach Yahushua, the love of the Most High, which is in Hamashiach Yahushua, our Lord. So, I mean, that's plain and simple. And that's all I had for this lesson. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of informations of about raids and SWAT teams very active in the shadows right now. So yeah, like eventually our time is gonna come, man. But in the meantime, we continue to push this word, and then whenever we get to that space, the Lord will be with us, and we'll be able to overcome that. So with that, I'm gonna say Kal Halayim La Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua Ba'Hashem V'Hakodash, giving double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, salutation. To all you sincere occupants across the four winds, pushing this truth with sincerity of heart. Kasama God from a DC camp. Shalom.